Hello fellow sim racers. Last week I took a look at the excellent mod for New Jersey Motorsport Park Lightning Road Course, a race facility that's still got quite a lot of that new circuit smell left. But Feldbergring, well, this is a different beast altogether. Feldbergring was one of those amazing pre-war European race venues, where the organisers didn't let such trifling matters as practicality, safety or sanity get in the way of their racing aspirations. Just over 7 miles of public mountain road were co-opted to form the fast-flowing circuit, and if that's not interesting enough for you, part of the layout runs through a picturesque German village. The fast opening section is a pleasant run through verdant farmland, but this is quickly replaced by what can only be described as a roller coaster descent through the cobblestone paved village of Oberreifenberg. What follows is 4 or 5 miles of tree-lined hill climb, completed with a long, flat-out run back to the start line. Feldbergring has a lot going on. Super fast sections, tight technical corners, and elevation changes that make Spa look like a billiards table. And then there's a runoff, or lack thereof, because in 1950 nobody had yet considered the notion that they might want to survive long enough to come back and race again the following year. If you're familiar with the Thompson Road mod for Assetto Corsa, then you'll know what its creator Fat-Alfie is capable of producing, and I'm happy to say Feldbergring is an absolute masterpiece. This is one of those mods that manages to convey a sense of time and place with aplomb, and suggesting that it's jam-packed with atmosphere would be a serious understatement. While much of the circuit's lined with an impressive 40,000 trees, it's the small period details that really cement its character. The mod represents the circuit in its rejuvenated post-war period between 1950 and 1955, so spectators wear muted period garments and the street furniture is very much of its time, as is the wonderfully recreated 1950 signage. All in all, the effect is very convincing. Moving on to some of the more technical stuff, the track mesh feels really good to me, being detailed and characterful, without falling into the trap of making the place overly bumpy. And the road textures are themselves very convincing looking, particularly in places where cars have dragged mud back onto the paved areas. And the cobblestone section is also worthy of note, which both looks excellent and feels sufficiently slippery. As for the gameplay side of things, I'm happy to report that everything works as you'd expect. The AI is well behaved and fast, with the only notable issue being that they can be a bit aggressive with the curbs in the village section, which in some cars can lead to, well, aircraft-like behaviour. Though I should point out this is incredibly rare and it didn't impact the racing at all, just something to watch out for. And while we're still on the subject, hot lap mode works perfectly, which isn't always a given with mod tracks. As a final point, an area where this mod really excels in my opinion is in the colour palette employed by Fat-Alfie, which is something that's often overlooked by mod creators. The tight collection of muted greens, browns and greys gives the mod a very cohesive look and feel, which helps cement the historical context. And on that point, setting the weather to mist or fog is impressively immersive. This is a circuit that will draw inevitable comparisons with the Nordschleife, and in my opinion, Feldbergring is as different as it is similar to the Green Hell. Both venues were conceived at a similar point in time by racers with similar approaches and attitudes, and ultimately both are long, fast loops through densely forested German mountain terrain. But while racing started out on the roads of the Eifel Mountains, the need for a purpose-built venue was recognised, and thus the Nürburgring was created. Whereas the Feldbergring and events stayed on public roads until racing ceased in 1955, as it did across much of Europe. And this means that you have all the challenges of public road racing to contend with: curbs, cobbles, street furniture, etc. This is a mod that lends itself to older cars, or perhaps more precisely, cars that behave like older cars. And it has to be said that cars with H-pattern gearboxes, steel brakes and vintage tyres are a lot of fun to drive here. Let me tell you, braking for the tight left-hander at the bottom of the village section is a bit of an event. But due to the nature of the layout, there's also merit in the idea of using the Feldbergring as a hill climb or road rally stage as well, so perhaps there's something for everyone here. To bring things to a close, Fat-Alfie's Feldbergring mod is a well-executed, characterful representation of a race venue that's a little bit left field for those of us with more modern sensibilities. But for me, this is a circuit that's more than just a historical curiosity. Driving this layout is an event. The circuit's punishing, cruel even in places, but getting it right is incredibly rewarding. Moreover, it adds breadth to the pool of historic circuits that are available to drive in Assetto Corsa. Ultimately, this mod is a real gem. So that about wraps things up. If you're interested in downloading the Feldbergring mod, then I've put a link to the download in the description. If you've enjoyed the mod, then don't forget to leave its creator a review and/or leave a donation. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then it would be great if you could hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you've got any suggestions for content you'd like to see on the channel in future, then please let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for donating your precious free time by watching. It is very much appreciated. So all that's left to say is goodbye, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.